Hey everybody. So I finally got to see the film The Hunger Games, which has been pretty big recently. Um, it's a book adaptation of the Suzanne Collins novel, and she actually wrote the screenplay for this film, interesting enough. Um, this film, you guys, stars Jennifer Lawrence, Josh Hutcherson, Liam Hemsworth, Woody Harrelson, Elizabeth Banks, Stanley Tucci, Donald Sutherland, Wes Bentley, and those are the names that I recognize. But anyway, guys, The Hunger Games, if you really don't know what it's about, if you've never read the books like I have, I've never read the books, at least not as of now. Um, the Hunger Games, you guys, is about a dystopian future where people are split up into different districts. There was a huge war that went on that caused the countries that we know of right now, like the U.S. and Canada and all that stuff. Um, they're not those countries anymore. They're all districts. They're all determined by the like upper, middle, and lower class families and everything like that. Um, it's a future where it's mostly forest and not as much city as it used to be. Um, but where the real story takes place, that's just kind of a detail about how what this future is like. It's more forest than city. They have an event called the Hunger Games every single year, and anybody between the age of 12 and 18 have to be a part of it if they're chosen from this bowl. Um, and there's a male and a female person that gets chosen, and the story focuses on a character played who's the character's name is Katniss Everdeen, who's played by Jennifer Lawrence, and she has a younger sister who I think her sister's 13. I haven't read the book, so I apologize if I get all this wrong as far as story goes, but I'm just telling you what I saw from the film. Um, but so her sister is old enough to participate in the Hunger Games if she got chosen from the bowl, and she's worried. She's hoping she doesn't get picked because it's a life or death situation, kind of a game. Um, so at first Katniss, who's played by Jennifer Lawrence, is like, there's so many people in this bowl. It's more than likely you're not going to get chosen. Um, we don't get as much food from the government because with this dystopian future and the war that went on, getting food is harder. It just getting things that we take for granted today are harder to get in this future. So Katniss is just informing her sister, with we kind of find food on our own. You don't have to worry about having all of these ballots that have your name on it inside this bowl. Um, so she calms her sister down, and of course the Hunger Games are right around the corner. Um, so it's the Hunger Games now, and Evie Trinket, played by Elizabeth Banks, is the person who grabs the ballot out of the bowl and says who is the male and female participant in the Hunger Games. And strangely enough, it's the sister who was really hoping not to get picked. Because the sister starts freaking out and really doesn't want to be part of the Hunger Games, the Jennifer Lawrence character, Katniss Everdeen, volunteers herself instead. And so it's one of the first and rare situations in the Hunger Games where there's actually a volunteer and not someone chosen from the bowl to participate in the Hunger Games. So I don't want to get into too much detail because I want you all to go see this film. But to kind of sum this all up, Jennifer Lawrence and Peeta Mellark, who was the male character who was chosen, played by Josh Hutcherson, they're both part of the District 12 male and female warriors in this Hunger Games. And so they participate in this huge tournament, which is kind of a life or death tournament where only one survives. But when you see the film, you'll kind of know the twist that went on with the one survivor thing. It's a different take on that for this round of Hunger Games that we're introduced to. And it's pretty much it's kind of one of those things where the reason why the government requires this of people is because of honor, to represent that, not to forget about this huge war that went on. So I guess it's in a way to kind of like how we all take kind of a bow of silence for 9/11. This is kind of their bow of silence for that, but in the sense that they don't mind being down and dirty and violent with it, and kind of reminding us just how terrible of a time it was to go through that. And to do what they do is they do it through the form of a reality TV show where you really don't get to decide if you're a part of it or not. The government randomly chooses for you through this bowl that I explained earlier, who Evie Trinket does for the District 12 people. And I believe District 12 is the lower class families, so I think that's what District 12 represents. At least that's what I got. Um, but anyway, guys, I really enjoyed Hunger Games. It was a very well done film. For not reading any of the books at all, knowing almost little to nothing about it going into this film. Um, it was just really fun to watch. Jennifer Lawrence had a very good role in this. Stanley Tucci and Wes Bentley and Donald Sutherland and all those people who have been in other films outside of this one all did very well in this. Woody Harrelson did very well in this as kind of this person who participated in the Hunger Games before and kind of is now kind of, he's not really a drunk, but you can tell that he doesn't exercise as much as he did, and that he spends more of his time drinking alcohol than not drinking it, and he spends a lot of time snacking on snacks and eating a lot of food and kind of taking all these things in that he did not get to have while being in the Hunger Games back when he did it. And I kind of like his line in this film where he says, if you really want to survive the Hunger Games, you got to get people to like you. And I kind of like how he made that point, because when you watch this film, it does have a very important role and element into this film, and on how we see Katniss and Peeta, who are part of the District 12 families, kind of how they put that into perspective as they're a part of the Hunger Games. And speaking of those two characters, guys, I really like how we finally have a book adaptation that's not too mushy, not too gothic, dark, romancy like Twilight. I kind of like how this romance is really not even a romance. They had this act for these two characters because they knew they would get more sponsors for themselves for the Hunger Games. They knew that they would get people sending in, because in the Hunger Games, guys, they have like these little capsule things that fly in through parachutes throughout the game. And if people like you and want to sponsor you while they're watching the Hunger Games, they can. They can send you food, healing stuff like Band-Aids and gelatin that can cure burns that you have on your body and everything. And they kind of did it for that. I mean, they never really hated each other. They knew each other. And keep in mind, I didn't read the books, but based on what I got of it, they knew each other. They weren't close friends, but they weren't enemies either. But they kind of did it because they knew, based off of what they knew before going into the Hunger Games, that kind of having this romancy two people within this game is going to get sponsors, because people want these two people to live. And if they want them to live, they got to be their sponsor and give them stuff to make sure that they live throughout the Hunger Games. So this film, you guys, it's very good. I really wasn't expecting a lot of it. I ended up liking it more than I thought I was going to. This film is a 9 out of 10 for me, guys. I really enjoyed it a lot. If you haven't seen Hunger Games yet, make sure you go see it. I was pleasantly surprised with it. It was very well done. When you see this film, you'll kind of be in the same question as I am right now. And keep in mind, I didn't read the book, so this is probably why I'm so curious. How are they going to do Catching Fire and Mockingjay? How are they going to adapt those in the film? Because they kind of wrapped it up so well. I'm almost curious what they can do. What else can they do outside of this? Is there going to be another Hunger Games that they have to be a part of now because they won? Are they going to be kind of like with the Woody Harrelson character? Are they going to support people who are the new volunteers or new chosen ones for the tournament? Are they going to kind of have that kind of role in the next story? I don't know what they're going to do, but I'll be pleasantly surprised. I hope so, from what they're going to do for the 2013 release that I heard about for next year for Catching Fire. Apparently, it's November 2013 when that comes out. But Hunger Games, guys, if you haven't seen it, make sure you do. It's very well done. I give it a 9 out of 10. A very well done adventure film.